Full and uncut versions available on Patreon. Check in the description below.
Greetings once again, mages. It's been a while, and welcome to me trying to catch back up with the manga of Fairy Tail the 100 Years Quest. But what happened previously? Well, after Lucy and Brandish managed to defeat the mind-controlled Mercphobia, they were finally reunited with Aquarius. Meanwhile, Natsu is in a knockdown, drag-out fight with the dragonized Brian, with even the egg-seed Misfortune joining in to help him out. From the looks of things, Brian might just be cooked in every sense imaginable, but with his dragonized body, it's never that simple. What'll happen next? Join me as I find out, won't you? Alright, so from here on out, we'll be finishing out what are the last couple of chapters of Volume 19, and then getting around halfway through Volume 20. So first we'll be checking out Chapter 178, Your Name Shows Who You Are. That's very philosophical. Nice little cover page of Lucy looking at the stars, and I guess Happy wants a turn. We pick up with Natsu fresh off of putting Brian on his ass, as Natsu demands, "Hey, where's Ignia?" Brian, his teeth shattered again. His horns too. I mean, I think everything in his body or face is shattered. As he says, "Huh? Didn't I tell ya? Rumbly tummy, rumbly tummy." He went to where the black wizard Faris is. Natsu then questions, "And where's that?" And right before he passes out, Brian says, "Don't know." Natsu then just says, "Shoot." But then he realizes something and then says, "Oh yeah, Happy." He's like, "Yeah, your friend, remember?" Oh, and then we cut to it's been a while, so I can't remember if we've seen this place before, but it looks like a volcanic region, where we see Happy has been laid out by Misfortune. Happy struggles to get up, questioning, "What are you doing, Misfortune?" And Misfortune rather callously just says, "What I have to. We're enemies. My destiny is to fight you, Happy. Happy E." She breathes fire. Happy is taken aback, saying, "Whoa, he can breathe fire?" And he uses his area ability to dodge. Happy, flying above her, says, "We're not enemies. We're both Exceed." But Misfortune tells him, "I'm a fire cat. I only bring misfortune. It's right there in my name. I've burned down every home I've had. No matter where I go, I start fires." Happy listens intently as Misfortune explains, saying, "When a nice old guy tried to pick me up, I burned him. I'm a fire cat, bringing misfortune everywhere I go. But Ignia took me in." She breathes fire again, but Happy manages to dodge. Misfortune goes on to say, "No matter how much I burn, everyone's a fire wizard here, so it's okay." Hey, makes a lot of sense. Happy then explains, "Natsu's a fire wizard too, and I'm with him all the time." Misfortune listens as Happy says, "So why not a fire cat too?" Misfortune begins to heat up in anger and sorrow, saying, "Because I can't even touch anyone with this body of mine. I'm a cat of misfortune, with a body of misfortune, the very embodiment of misfortune." But Happy then takes a moment, and despite Misfortune's flames, he places his hand on hers and his forehead to hers. And despite the burning of his fur and skin, he says, "I can touch you." Misfortune begins to weep, saying, "Happy, you'll get burned." But Happy says, "You're not Misfortune. You're Misfortune." Wow, actually giving Happy a moment. That's actually kind of nice. Misfortune is obviously moved by this display from Happy. And while Happy still keeps his head to hers, still burning, well, sizzling now, Misfortune looks down and says, "I'm burning you, Happy." But Happy just smiles, saying, "It's fine. I'm used to it," from Natsu. Misfortune is once again moved. But Happy then says with determination, "Ignia is gonna kill all the humans. That's the real Misfortune right there." Oh God. Misfortune says, "Yeah." Happy says, "Help us instead." Misfortune says, "Okay, Happy." Natsu then comes rushing up, calling for Happy. And Happy says, "Ah, Natsu. only for Natsu to promptly kick Misfortune away, saying, "What do you think you're doing to Happy, you jerk?" Happy is shocked, Misfortune is shocked, and Natsu has no clue. I mean, why would he? I hope they managed to patch that up, though. We then cut over to the city of Ermina, in the water dragon god's palace, where Aquarius is doing her usual thing of berating Lucy and Brandish, saying, "Geez, you two, I'll let you share my key as a special favor then." Share it? Huh, they can do that? Yeah. Brandish is like, share? And Lucy questions, "You can do that?" Aquarius says, "Just like before, you can summon me on Wednesdays and Thursdays, Lucy. Brandish, you get Tuesdays." It's really as simple as that, huh? And rather angrily, Aquarius says, "Don't you dare summon me on any other days. If you interrupt me while I'm on a date, I'll kill you." Lucy just sighs, and Brandish then takes a moment and then says, I actually don't want your key," which shocks Lucy and Aquarius. Aquarius grabs Brandish by her coat, saying, "Excuse me? You don't want my priceless gold celestial spirit key?" Brandish says, "I'm sorry." Lucy then comments, "But you came all the way to Giltina to find her key." Brandish simply says, "I found it. I'd say my goal is complete, and I'm not a celestial spirit wizard." Yeah, that's also another point right there. And I don't think she really needs to be that kind of a wizard to at least use it, but at the same time, it's like, I always kind of assumed that maybe Brandish was kind of messing with Lucy and was actually going to give it to her in the end. And Aquarius even comments that too, saying, "Just come out and say it. You were looking for my key so you could give it to Lucy, right?" Lucy questions this, and when she looks at Brandish, Brandish immediately looks away. Brandish begins walking away, waving Lucy off, saying, "Well, you see how it is. I'm going home." Lucy calls out, "Wait, Brandish." Brandish, still walking away, not even looking at Lucy, says, "No, don't want a hassle." But Lucy still says, "Thanks." And Brandish, with a smile, still not looking at Lucy, simply says, "See ya." Aquarius smiles at this loving moment, and then puts her arm around Lucy. Oh, okay, I was expecting a punchline, but it's actually a very sweet moment. As Aquarius says, "So, we're back together again, Lucy." And Lucy says, "Yeah, welcome home, Aquarius." Aww. And Mercphobia is just nodding at this happy little moment while, oh man, I forget her name so often. Hold on. Caramel. I'm not really sure. Like, the look she's giving Mercphobia just kind of has me questioning what's going on in her mind. He then has the Lucy's narration saying, "I thought I'd be crying my eyes out when I was reunited with Aquarius, but having her there felt like such a matter of course. I mostly just felt relieved." Right? Of course, it hadn't really sunk in yet. If I had known what was to come, would I have been more emotional? Well, that's ominous. As we see one of the other giant lacrima, Urza approaches it at the ruins of Dramil. She notes, "A giant lacrima. That must be it. But I don't see Alderon, that giant dragon god." But then Urza feels something, questioning, "What's this I sense?" She looks around. Oh, he's going to encounter all of them? 6 figures move towards her in the mist. Urza shudders as she comes face to face with the Oratian says. Spelt differently, but I guess I should say the black wizard Faris's Oratian says. As Brain says, "Fairy tale, found ya." Oh boy. Alright, Urza is the first to encounter the Oratian says. I would have figured they would have split up at this point. No, looks like they're all together. Unless Urza just bodies all of them just instantaneously. That would be wild. Alright, we now move over to chapter 171. 6 Black Powers. And a cover page of Virgo, and it reads dental treatment in the background there, so yeah, let's go with that. I will admit, with all the technological stuff in the background, it looks like something almost out of Eden Zero. I kind of miss Eden Zero to a certain degree. As Urza comes face to face with Faris's Horatian says, she questions, "Who are..." But as she gets a better look at Brain says, Master Zero? She then looks at all of them, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Urza questions, I see. So this is a new oration, say? Alright. It's gonna take a while for me to actually remember who's who in this lineup. Okay, Gate says, no, that was his old team, right? He's not our leader. And I'm guessing Bird says, trill, trill, trill. We're oration 6, which is pronounced the exact same way. I don't know how you make that distinction. Okay, Blade says, demons of the Book of Faris. Well, I think Gaia says, we were born from Lord Faris's love, or Mistress Faris's. And Damon cheekily says, we melt her enemies. Urza Stoneface gets ready. I mean, there's only one way this can go. As Damon says, even Zero if need be. Zero kind of scoffs at this, while Urza says, I thought you were dead. Zero says, I kind of was. But, because I absorbed so much magic from Nirvana, I couldn't die. Gate says, his tenacity and destructive instincts caught Faris's eye, apparently. Blade says, he discarded his humanity and was reborn as a demon. Zero sneers, saying, it never mattered whether they were human or not. I just can't let anything with form exist. If I can destroy things, that's enough for me, he says, immediately rushing forward towards Urza. Urza readies herself. As Zero prepares an attack, he says, especially you, Fairy Tale. Urza, whipping out her sword, manages to catch Zero's attack in a massive explosion that instantly shatters her sword. Urza is shocked, saying, what? And of course it also shatters her armor, and then proceeds to knock her back quite a ways. Jeez. But Urza does manage to regain her footing as Zero sneers at her. Urza trembles, though, from the attack, thinking to herself, what is this power? It's different from before. The smile on Zero's face grows wider and more malevolent. There we go, malevolent. Urza calls out, what is your group's goal? And Zero simply shouts, destroy, 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 to destroy everything. Bird then questions, make things a bit less confusing, would ya? Damon says, well, he's half right. That makes me melt. Gaia says with a bow, we will destroy humanity for the sake of love. While Gate simply says, we'll kill all humans and cut down every dragon, too. Urza then questions, so you're going after that giant lacrima, too? But Gate simply says, oh, we already took care of that. And we see, much to Urza's bewilderment, the lacrima start to crack and crumble. Oh man, don't tell me. But I said, okay, I guess Hiro Mishima felt that Alderaan just didn't have that much of a personality. Let's face it. Outside of, what was his name? Viernus. Alderaan didn't really have that much of a personality to go off of. There wasn't really much in terms of stakes in taking him down. I mean, it would have been a great battle to see as it going off against the huge dragon soloing him. But as the giant lacrima crumbles, Urza shouts, what? Bird says, the huge bird, the huge dragon is already dead. Urza says, impossible. The gigantic one? But Damon says, I melted it. Urza is stunned. As Bird says, so our other goal here. And as he and Blade get ready, Blade says, is to cut you down. Oh, jeez. Bird and Blade rush in, and so does Zero, laughing maniacally the entire time. Gaia calls out, please die for the sake of love. While Damon, also rushing in, says, melt, human. As Bird goes in for a strike, Urza manages to jump back away from it. But already on the back foot, she notices a little too late that Zero is already on her. Oh, but she does manage to dodge back yet again from his strike as it only hits the ground. But we see Blade ready his sword. Oh, but as he goes in for a strike, a feather flutters next to him. Several feathers. And we see another 6 figures in the mist. Don't tell me they're here. Okay. A voice calls out, looks like this is getting interesting. And another voice says, just so. Urza is yet again shocked, and this time, so is Zero, as more than likely he notices the figures of the original Horatian Says. Angel, Cobra, Midnight, Racer, and Hot Eye. Although, that is all their names, right? So it should be Richard, Eric, Serrano, Macbeth, and Sawyer. And, I mean, that figure's too short to be Jalal. I don't think it would be old tier, so it must be Meldy. I don't know why she's like up in the cloak though. When was the last time we saw them? Is this our first time seeing them in this story? I really cannot remember for the life of me. But Urza says, Horatian says, while Macbeth says with a smile, so you're still alive, father. And Zero says with anger filling his face, midnight. It's a 6-on-6. Well, technically 7-on-6. See, this would have been a good opportunity for Alderaan to stuck around. It's actually kind of a bummer he's gone. Alright, so as we enter into volume 20, we have chapter 172, Says versus Shaish. Shaish Showdown. And we have a cover page of Gray carefully about to finish a pyramid of cards. Unbeknownst to him, Juvia and Natsu are about to come crashing down on him. Like moments before disaster. So we have Urza in the middle of the Horatian Sace and the Horatian Shaish. You gotta say it with more of a sh at the end. And naturally, she doesn't really know how to take this. So the lineup seems to be Midnight versus Zero, Cobra versus Blade, Angel versus... I end up going by their other names. Angel versus Damon, which, dang, ain't that a little on the nose. Racer versus Bird, Hot Eye versus Gaia, and Meldy versus Gate? Urza then asks the person in the cloak, so, who are you? The figure laughs, and as they pull it off, they reveal themselves to be former member of Crime Sorcière, Meldy, which, wait, so they're not Crime Sorcière anymore? Have they gone back to being the Horatian Says? So Crime Sorcière is officially defunct then, right? Or is the Horatian Says like a team within Crime Sorcière? But the way Meldy says that, former member of Crime Sorcière. So is Crime Sorcière no more? Urza says, what? Man, it's just been Urza having reaction shots for like a while now. Racer says, she looked into stuff. While Cobra says, so here we are. Hot Eye says, so you're the scoundrels calling themselves the 6 demons. Angel says, creepy. Midnight questions, how long are you going to be hung up on the number 6, father? Even just calling about. Zero just continues to seethe in anger. Blade says, 6 of them as well. Gate says, oh, I see. But Zero charges up, energy in his hand, saying, you're nothing. I'll wipe you all out. But Hot Eye then uses his ability to turn the ground into, well, mud, essentially. I forget what Hot Eye's ability is known as. Is it just earth magic? Yeah, liquid ground, causing the Horatian Shaish to sink into the ground. Like, that's how I gotta define it, because otherwise you're gonna get real confused real fast. Zero's taken aback by this. Damon says, this guy... While Gaia says he is incredibly powerful. Bird uses his abilities to get out of the liquid ground, saying, I'm a bird, you can't get me with. But Racer is already on him, saying, too slow, kneeing Bird right in the chin. Blade gets ready to strike, but Cobra shoulder checks him, knocks him with his elbow, saying, I can hear you. While Angel goes after Damon, saying, you're mine. And Meldy goes after Gate. Hot Eye faces off with Gaia, while Midnight summons energy to his hand, saying, Father, why don't you wake up already? Midnight unleashes a devastating attack, knocking Zero back. Yeah, spiral pain. But Zero manages to regain his footing after being knocked down, simply laughing off the attack. Urza begins to say, you, but Melody says, you go, Urza. Urza tries to, protest, saying, but the Cobra says, go to Dramil. Midnight tells her, it's in trouble. You're the only one who can save the town, Urza. Hey, oh, yeah, so we've already dealt with the dragon. Well, the other duration Sheish has already dealt with the dragon, so probably a Fire and Flame member. Probably wed. Urza, seeing her opportunity, says, understood. Stay safe. And she takes off. But Angel says, who do you think you're talking to? Don't underestimate the Eurasian Says, would you? As she unleashes the attack that was originally like filler. I can never get over the fact that Hiro Mashima actually brought in stuff that was filler to the anime. I don't know, because we live in a time where there's even more contact than ever before between anime and manga creator. So maybe he told the anime staff what their abilities would be, since they no longer have those certain abilities from when they were allied with Zero. Well, Angel doesn't really use the any Celestial's keys anymore. He uses kind of angel magic, more or less. But Angel unleashes some kind of attack on Damon. Not even sure what it is. But as Damon fends it off, she says, bet you're worth melting. But Angel says, that's because I'm fired up for the first time in ages. Go ahead and melt me. But as Urza is on her way, Bird catches sight, saying, I won't let you fly the coop. But once again, Racer is just on him, kicking him in the stomach, saying, still too slow. And then he goes in for another strike using motor. Melody says, okay, let's get started. And then we cut over to the Fire God's castle, where a very angry Misfortune says, I'm through with you. But Natsu says, I said I was sorry. Happy says, it's true, Natsu. And Natsu, still trying to apologizes, but you were an enemy up till a little while ago. Who cares about a kick or two? Is that really? Oh, Misfortune. I mean, yeah, he does. It's weird when Natsu actually makes a good point. And Misfortune thinks for a moment and says, I suppose I see your point. Natsu says, right? And Happy says, don't just agree, Natsu. Misfortune is a good girl. Aw, Happy's too sweet. Misfortune says, gosh, Happy. Natsu says, Fortune, huh? Great name. Sounds yummy. Happy says, you want to eat her? Misfortune reels back. I like that Natsu specifically calls her Fortune. Oh, no, Happy said Fortune. Okay. That's actually a good way of going about it. He's really dedicated to the misfortune thing. Natsu says, so, Fortune, I want to stop Ignia. Tell me where he is, would you? Misfortune immediately hesitates, and Happy catches notice of this. But Misfortune does admit he said he was gonna find some black wizard named Faris. Natsu questions where. Fortune says, I think he's using smell to find her, so I don't know he. Natsu says, smell. Oh, that's an idea. But Misfortune says, but you're not a dragon. Happy says, Natsu's nose is amazing. As we see Natsu sniff the air. He points, saying, that way. Misfortune says, huh? And Happy says, like I said, amazing. But Natsu, there's something wrong. He says, but that's where Dramil is. No. Well, no, actually, no, that makes more sense. I mean, if the Eurasian Sesh is there, Faris would be nearby still too, and that would mean that, oh man, okay, now, a lot more is going on in Dramil than I would have thought. As Urza arrives on the scene, she sees the city smoldering, saying, well, what's going on? Can't wait to find out. Alright, the next chapter is 173, World in Chaos. The cover page of Wendy playing the piano. Okay. Can Wendy actually play the piano? Or is it just for the cover? We cut to the town of Dramil, where we see, wait, they destroyed the Lacrima, right? Why are the people still dragon eyes? I don't understand. And some of these people look like they have black energy? Are they being controlled by Faris? Man. Are Faris and Ignia using the townspeople as their own personal soldiers? that's kinda messed up. Urza, seeing this sight, question, what's going on? Yeah, it's a full-on divide. Those with flames, with black flames covering their body versus dragonized townspeople. Urza notes, people are killing each other. Wait, are they even human? As she continues to see the people tearing into each other, she remembers Midnight's words, saying, you're the only one who can save the town, Urza. But Urza simply says ridiculous. As one of the dragonized town people sets upon her, she blocks, noting a dragon human, but the black flame people approach her as well, much to her shock. She manages to dodge out of one of their attacks as it shatters the ground. Urza questions, and this one's a wizard? No, they're being controlled. Black magic? As they continue to swing at her, Urza says, the dragon humans and the humans being controlled by magic are killing each other. Suddenly, something catches Urza's attention as she shudders. She turns her attention to the sky in shock, saying, what's this magic? She sees two figures standing opposed on different buildings. On one side, Faris. On the other, Ignia. Urza knows Ignia and Faris, the Black Wizard? Faris questions, what's so fun about turning humans into dragons? Ignia says, I'm not doing it for fun. I'm saturating this world with dragons. Faris simply nods, while Ignia questions, and why are you controlling humans? And Faris says, just for fun. I mean, yeah, that's about right. Like, I saw what you were doing. I'm just like, that's actually not a bad idea. Let me get in on a little bit of that action. Hearing this, Urza draws her sword, saying, why you? Ain't Urza's strong, but, these are two people you solo. But she leaps towards the both of them. Her presence catches their attention. Oh, what? But Urza is stopped by something? Oh, is it Wed? Yeah, it's Wed. Urza is shocked by what's blocking her path, as the person says, I'm your opponent. You fight me, Wed. Oh my god, Wed looks so cool. Oh my god. Fire and Flame, Wed, dragonized version. Urza says, your body. Wed brandishes his sword, saying, I've been dragonized. I wanted to settle things with you before that happened, but there's nothing to be done about that now. And with a powerful strike, Wed knocks Urza back down to the ground. But Urza does manage to catch her fall, as Wed says, let us determine who is number one with a sword in this world. Oh, dang it! Don't cut away from that! I actually wanted to see that clash. We cut over to the former site of Gold Owl. Oh yeah, Vernus is back. That might, in one capacity, because Vernus was a concept previously. But we pick up with Gray saying, oh geez, Lacrima I gotta destroy is above Vernus. As we see Vernus just hanging out next to the Lacrima. Yeah, I mean, I questioned it before when it was just like, oh, they're going to be going up against the Dragon Gods one-on-one. It's like, really? I mean, I get it. You level up your party so that they're able to pretty much solo bosses, but a lot of these Dragon Gods weren't easy to take down. Vernus roars, and Gray, sweating it a little, says, I ain't a dragon slayer. Oh, man. Oh, we then cut over to Diablo's guild where, man, don't kill Celine! As Wendy arrives on the scene, she sees all the members of the guild beaten and bloody on the ground. She questions, what happened, everyone? You're hurt so badly. The Skellion Raider says, Celine shifted into dragon form. Kyrie says, she really got us. Or Mad Mole says, Chaw! Haru? It's been a while. Haku. Yeah, Haku. Reaches out for Wendy, saying, you came for me, Wendy. Although Charla smacks him away, kicks him away. And, Haku just says, aw. Wendy says, I'll cast healing magic on you right away. But Suzaku says, no need. So Kieran says, don't be shy. I'm gonna take her up on it. Right? Like, look, I ain't got enough pride in me to not want to be healed up a little bit. Though Charla then questions, where did Celine go? Misaki says, she's lost all reason. He's nothing but a dragon now. But when he says no, I'll restore her to normal. I swear it as a sky dragon slayer. Kyrie says, Were you always so strong-willed? Mad Mole says, wonderful chaw. Karen says, glad I didn't burn you to ash. Scullion just got a scoff at that comment. Well, Haku says, you're the bestest, Wendy. Oh, although Suzaku seems, unconvinced a little bit. All right, next chapter is 174, Super Speed as a Way of Life. Oh, man. So they're focusing on Racer. And I love that Angel is one of the race girls. She do it proudly, too. Oh, but we're still back in Drasil, where those being controlled by Ignia are fighting those being controlled by Faris. Meanwhile, Urza has her hands full facing off against the dragonized Wed. Meanwhile, Ignia and Faris face off. Ignia saying, humans have no idea how terrifying dragons really are. Suddenly, a massive explosion goes off behind Urza, shocking her. Tree? Wait, that's not Alderaan, is it? I thought the Eurasian shish said that they dealt with him. As massive roots rise out of the ground, Gaia says, what's going on? Hot-Eye says, this is bad. See Racer taken aback. Cobra says, this voice. Melody questions, I thought you beat him. Blade calls out to Damon, who specifically said she beat him. And Damon says, I thought I did meld him. Angel says, now we're gonna melt? No. Angel, keep up with the conversation. Midnight calls out to Zero about this, while Zero, swatting away Roots, says, beats me. Urza is still shocked by the sight of the massive tree form rising in the distance. Ignia says, right? Alderaan? And sure enough, Alderaan rises from the earth, roaring, yes! Ah, good. Like, don't make it that easy. Like an off-screen defeat? Like, let's keep it a buck. Mercphobia was definitely always going to be the easiest one to take down, mostly because he didn't really want the smoke. Everyone else, though, let's not count it out. A lot of the stuff going on with Mercphobia was friggin' wild. But the thing is, just because the Lacrima's gone, don't mean Alderaan's done. He's back, he's big, and he's ready to stomp. Oh, that is wild. He's the ginormous form of Alderaan rises and towers over the city. Jesus. Racer, looking up at the form, says, what? What's this humongous monster? First says, Alderaan, the wood dragon god. Guess we didn't detweet him after all. Trill, trill, trill. As Racer lands on a branch, he says, damn it, we all got split up. Bird says, this is our battle stage. Alright, it would be good for a fighting game. As he uses Falcon Wing, unleashing a barrage of feathers towards Racer. But Racer races out of the way, saying, too slow, birdie. As he moves across the branches and trees towards Bird, he uses Motor and kicks Bird in the face. But Bird manages to keep himself aloft, much to Racer's shock, as he says, what? Bird uses another move, Condor Fin Fan, causing Racer to be caught up in a whirlwind of wind. Ooh, dang. Knocking him away, injuring him greatly. And as Racer falls, Bird catches him up to him in midair, saying, too slow, Trill. Eagle attack. Ooh, using his feet talons to catch Racer's throat, dive bombing him through several branches into the ground. Oh, dang. Meanwhile, with Ignia and Faris says, dragons and people shouldn't underestimate the power of black magic. The 6 black demons born from my prayer. Oh, we didn't see Damon, who, already has Angel underfoot? How did that happen? Dang, I would have at least liked to have seen that. Meanwhile, Zero has Midnight on the back foot with his abilities, and Cobra is all he can do to defend himself against Blade. Hot-Eye is grappling with Gaia, but it's obvious that Hot-Eye is struggling a lot more than Gaia. And Gate has already knocked Melody down. She's not out, but it's obvious who has the advantage there. As Faris says, what was the full line she said? The 6 black demons born from my prayer are ultimate wizards who have touched the abyss of black magic. What? Melody says that this feeling as Gate looks down on her. Wait, no. Is that why she ended up going up against Gate? Melody thinks to herself, the same type of magic as Master Hades. Ugh, it's creeping me out. Is there a deeper connection there? Because we know how Zero became a demon, and it does make a certain degree of sense. You use enough black magic, you become a demon yourself. And even, I'm blanking on her name from the one chick from Sabretooth. But they're all essentially black wizards? So it's kind of like how it was noted that all of the dragon gods were of the same color of Acnologia. You have people who are of this around the same caliber as Zareth, more or less, right? But what was her name? Minerva. There we go, Minerva. Although, despite the fact that she's still, I guess, part demon, it don't really show, right? Okay, no, it says that most of that was undone. Okay, that was mentioned in a Q&A. Okay, so yeah, Minerva doesn't have that demon stuff in her anymore. Yeah, gotcha. Polyusica treated Minerva following the Tyra's War, but was unable to completely revert her back to normal. Okay, so to some degree, she still has demon in her, but it's not completely there. I wonder if that'll ever fully come up. The bird, looking down on Racer, says, the Eurasian fish use various types of black magic. We're both demons and black wizards. Or daemons. Yeah, daemons. Racer, pulling himself out of the crater he was placed in, says, black magic, huh? Reminds me of the pieces of crap who built the town. Oh! I never even thought about it from that angle. Going up against black wizards like for Zareth and all that, that would give them all the motivation they need just to, really want to take these guys down. Okay, that's actually kind of cool. As Racer says, my prayer was just to run free, but it's changed now. Now it's to run to live. And he rockets in, slamming Bird in the gut. Okay, man, the day where I'm actually cheering on Racer. I mean, we've been cool with him for a while now, but like a dedicated moment for Racer. I'm kind of shocked by that. Alright, and the last chapter of this video is 175. The Essence of Wicked Prayers. Dang, that's actually a kind of cool chapter title. And you got Midnight and Cobra just hanging out, looking all fancy and stuff. I gotta admit, like, this is a kind of moment that I expected to see more back in, way back when we first were introduced to the idea of Crime Sorcière and all that. And they kind of had their moments to a certain degree. But, like, this is more of a solid, the Eurasian says is on the side of the good guys kind of situation. Alright, so, fresh off of his hit, Racer has knocked Bird back, but Bird manages to keep himself aloft, essentially. And Racer's kind of sweating it because it's just like, ooh, that was one of my stronger hits. I didn't think he'd take that. Oh, there's the darkness. And I was like, okay, in what way is Bird a dark magic user? But darkness starts to emanate from his wings as he says, trill, trill, trill. I'll show you something interesting. And as a dark energy begins to surround Racer, he questions, what's going on? And in the darkness, he's like dark shadowed from My Hero. You see the form of Bird appear behind Racer in the darkness as he says, my magic is black sky magic. Black sky magic. Oh, so he should be facing off against Wendy. Wait, so, okay, I'm not really sure what exactly he did, but it's like he disseminated into the atmosphere to get behind Racer, and then he manages to land in a kick to the back of Racer's head as Bird says, fall into a dark sky for a twiddle while. But as Racer goes to swing on Bird, he's vanished into the air. Racer says, what the heck? I can't see. Meanwhile, back with Damon and Angel. Angel manages to get out from under Damon's foot. And Damon says, oh, don't want me to step on you anymore? I have demonic black magic. And as Angel wipes her mouth, she says, oh, people used to call me Angel, you know. Damon says, a demon and angel, huh? Interesting. That could melt. As she begins to emanate power, Angel uses her angel magic to unleash angelic feathers, causing a barrage of feathers to come Damon's way. Damon then pulls out a card saying, 6 shields, acid rule, and with a wave of the card, all of Angel's feathers melt. Angel says, my magic. Damon then again waves around the card. Oh, geez. Okay, yeah. It's been a while since we've had a little bit of nudity in there. As Damon's attack hits Angel, melting off her clothes. As Angel screams as she burns, Damon says, melt away and die. Meanwhile, back over with Cobra and Blade. Cobra says, what's with this guy? I can't hear his voice. Blade tells him, my magic is black slashing magic. He sheathes his sword and goes into a drawing stance, saying, its attacks are soundless. Cobra is shocked by this, but then his ears perk up, having heard something. As Blade slashes, Cobra manages to jump in the air before it hits. Blade says, oh, I'm impressed you dodged that. Cobra gathers energy in his claws and unleashes an attack. Poison Dragon Scale thing. But before the poison can hit him, Blade slashes it, destroying the momentum and keeping it off of him as it just falls in a circle around him. Cobra shocked, saying, what? As Blade says, my black blade cuts down my enemies without making a sound. Suddenly, Cobra is slashed, and he bounds away to get some distance. As he holds his wound, Cobra questions, when did you? Blade tells him, you depend too much on sound, boy. And then, over with Zero and Midnight. Zero has Midnight taking a knee, as Midnight is breathing heavily. Zero says, after all your bragging, this is the best you can do, Midnight. Midnight thinks to himself, he's got even more power now than when he first became Zero. Did the black magic amplify his power? As Zero sneers, Midnight unleashes Spiral Pain. It hits Zero directly, but Zero just moves through it, saying pain won't work on me. And then he unleashes Dark Rondo, consuming Midnight and the energy, causing her to cry out in pain. Zero says, pathetic. Is this how a former member of the Eurasian Sage should be, Midnight? But Midnight finds his fortitude, saying, my name is Macbeth, Zero. But Zero unleashes even more dark power, saying, shatter to bits. I'll destroy you. You're just a ghost from my past. As Zero unleashes another powerful Dark Rondo, Midnight says, so powerful. Oh, I'm gonna be real, I didn't see this coming. Because out of nowhere, in comes Natsu, ready to come in and drop kick Zero right in the face, much to the shock of Midnight and Zero. Midnight says, Natsu. As Natsu says, I was headed to find Ignia, but I spotted Alderaan and all your familiar faces here. What's going on? And Zero grows angry, saying, fairy tale, Natsu Dragneel. Oh boy. Burning through these chapters, it's so fun. I actually love that I have so much to just bulldoze through, because the chapters go by so fast when you're just reading them. Not saying that's a bad thing, it's just that there's not so much talky and lore and all that, it's mostly just action. So you just burn right through it in no time flat. But again, that's not a bad thing, because I wouldn't burn through it so fast if I wasn't enjoying it. But I really wanted to see the battle between Urza and Wed. That just feels like the clash. But I'm glad that Alderaan isn't completely gone. But since Urza is dealing with Wed, the Eurasian Says is dealing with the Eurasian Sage, I was wondering, okay, who's going to deal with Alderaan? But Natsu has to, I guess, pull a bit of double duty. Well, then again, he didn't actually go up against a dragon. He only went up against Brian, so okay, no, this makes quite a bit of sense. And it's him hunting down Ignia. So that's actually pretty fun. And the Eurasian Says versus the Eurasian Shake. is actually a pretty fun moment. I'm glad because I feel like their turnaround in terms of who they were wasn't completely done in the original series. This feels like a more concrete, yes, we're on the side of the good guys, we have the pardon, more or less. I still wish they were being led by Jalal, but what we got going on here is actually pretty fun. And the moment with Happy was even pretty good. Just because I'm just glad Happy got a little something. You know, he didn't just go in for the fight, he went in with a kind word or two. So good on you, Fairy Tail. Good stuff. Can't wait for the next few chapters, but I'll probably either be going into Dead Rock or the Fairy Tail 100-Year Quest anime for a little while. So like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the ride. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I hope to see you later. So then take care. Bye-bye.